Exactly, yeah.
We're live now, yeah?
Just want to give it a second. And
We're live now.
One of your boys sent them there, Pete. Be one of your old boys who sent them there.
So yeah, welcome everyone to the first Carlisle District Billiards and Snooker League podcast. I hope there are a few joining us live. As you can see, I'm hosting, Mike Griffiths, I'm hosting the first podcast here. And with us we've got on the far side here, we've got John Metcalf, Peter Stanier and Rob Woods. And our first podcast is all about the history of the league. We've got people here that we all play in the Carlisle League. We've got people here that played in other leagues. So as we approach our 100th year of competition, so this would be an ideal start to start off the first ever podcast. So I'm going to pass it on to John first, as John's played in Carlisle for the longest. So John, can you tell us about the history of the league and maybe how the billiards and snooker was set up when you first started playing?
of course, but you just stole my thunder. Yes, it is our 100th birthday. I'm not 100 years old, fortunately, but yeah. So the league's been had its ups and downs over the years. When it first started, there was only 6 or 7 teams that started 100 years ago. Then it gradually, as more pubs and clubs started to get snooker tables in, the league grew up till the Second World War. Then after the Second World War, snooker was booming. Up until about 1980, 85, we had 6 divisions. When we had a snooker club open up for the first time in the city, and everything was great. 6 divisions, everybody playing on a Tuesday night, billiards and snooker. Anybody that wanted to play snooker had to learn how to play billiards first. That was a rule of the league. You couldn't just turn up just to play snooker matches in between January and June. You had to turn up in August and learn how to play billiards, which for people our age has been absolutely fantastic. It's given us a grounding in all Cuesports and how the balls react differently, so we've learnt a lot. And the most important thing is the social side of a Tuesday night. Teams of 5 getting together, playing against each other, meeting new people, sharing jokes, blue jokes as well. Just generally having a good time on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, we've got a fair few teams in the league where basically it is a social night and the snooker is kind of like, not an inconvenience, but it's the main point of the night is to come out and be a 5 or 6 together. Obviously you mentioned there about in the 1990s there was 6 divisions of 10 teams. And looking through the history myself, there's a load of different teams that different places that don't have a team now. There was a Wigton team, there was a Gretna team, etc. Any memories of playing out in Gretna, Wigton, etc.? Obviously clubs that have shut now.
Yeah, well, Wigton was an experience, especially in the middle of winter, driving along the old A595. It wasn't as good as it is now, especially if it was snowing. You'd end up in a ditch after going home. It was all part of the fun. Table qualities back then wasn't as good as what it is now. I think most clubs are aware that we need to maintain good snooker tables, billiard tables, not such thing as a snooker table, to give people conditions that are decent to play on. Back then it wasn't so much like that.
Yeah. And obviously we've talked, myself and Peter have talked to people on the Billiards World Tour about billiards leagues around the country, and we think we have the biggest league in the country in terms of participation. Obviously the season that's coming up now, we've got 16 teams and it's 5 a side, so we're looking at about 100 to 120 people signed on, etc. Do you feel that it's the history of the league and the old rule of you had to play billiards first that's contributed to our league having so much success, or do you put it down to other factors?
Without a doubt, it's in the last the people who are aged between 35 and 85, because our oldest player in the league is 85. They've learned how to play billiards first, so the people don't walk away from a Tuesday night if there's a billiard match on, they will actually enjoy participating in it. It helps everybody knowing their angles around the billiard table. But that's probably the reason why our league has still got 100 people playing. Elsewhere in the country, the quality of the players is very good, but it's the quantity that isn't very good. It's vice versa here.
I think, John, I think as far as I can tell, we're the only league now with 2 divisions.
Yeah, I think
I've
we've
looked,
talked to loads of people.
I've looked high and low on my, obviously I'm involved with the website for the AABA, and on there I've developed a section many years ago called the Billiards Map, which is still on there somewhere, and on that everyone could register their local teams so that anyone could then say, oh, there's a league in that area, which is how I knew this league existed when I knew it here. But on there, I've been through that recently to correct all the old data, and I can't find any single league that's listed on there out of about 150 that now has 2 divisions. So it's remarkable, really.
It is, yeah. And one final little bit for John, just based on that as well. Obviously, after lockdown, we had an old secretary resigning and a lack of people stepping forward to run the league, and obviously yourself has stood up and seen this revival that we've had since lockdown, because before lockdown the game was shrinking. I don't know if you remember, John, but before lockdown, in the last years of the previous secretary, we actually had, I think it was 2 divisions of 6 teams in the billiards, and we had a little snooker league running alongside as kind of like for people that didn't want to play billiards. And we've seen, since you've taken over back in 2020, 21, a resurgence of billiards to the point that we had 17 teams last year from 12 teams back in 2020. So you just tell us again about how you got the league going again and getting an extra 5 or 6 teams in over the years, and your role in all that resurgence.
A lot of angry phone calls, ringing around people, twisting arms. And especially to club managers and landlords, explaining the benefits of having multiple people in your club on a particular night, all spending money over the bar to try and keep clubs alive. Because that's what we're doing this for. That's what we turn up on a Tuesday for, is keep clubs alive. Yeah.
And we've had a lot of feedback from the semi-finals and finals we put on from the clubs that have hosted them, that they have made a lot of money. The places where we've had the presentation nights the last few years have told us that they've made a lot of money in those nights, and we're very proud to support the clubs that support us back. With that in mind, we're just going to have a chat with Rob Woods here, who is part of running this club, Spencer Street Social Club. So again, Rob, what are the benefits of the league to the club? A lot of bar sales?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Name in the paper and all that?
Yeah, we always have to worry about being in the paper, but no, we like it being full, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, snooker, billiards, darts,
Table
it's all
bowls.
good. Table balls,
Table
yeah.
bowls, yeah.
Bring it on.
Keeping clubs
Has
alive.
darts increased, Rob?
Yeah, it's, you know,
Have you had more people playing darts?
we just have like, you know, the main lads on one day who will like turn up and like, there'll be 10. They all like a drink.
But that drink obviously creates revenue for the club so that they can spend money on
Absolutely,
things like the
yeah.
table, which you can see behind is a bit of a mess
Yeah.
because it's currently getting refitted.
Yeah, we're having a lovely
that's
recondition
right,
of here, yeah. And again, that's how our amazing club support us so well. We've had John describing there the Carlisle League used to be 6 divisions of 10 teams, and that's a story that's gone around the country. We've got Rob and Peter and myself that have played in other leagues before moving to Carlisle. So again, just Rob, you'd like to tell us about playing the Alton Port League as a kid and how that's...
Well, I grew up there, and I would be like, you were allowed in at 16 in the league.
Yeah.
And Ellesmere Port, small, but we had like 3 divisions, places like Van Leer, everybody had 3 or 4 teams in each club. It was the same as yourself, 6 divisions in Carlisle, 3 for Ellesmere Port was massive. So like you played 28 games over a league season, huge. Even now we play like 18, and we're doing well to play 18, but you know, times change, don't they? So this is like, you know, why we're here, to like keep it as busy as possible and
So
try to make things increase.
in that league, did you play just 1 frame or was it 3 frames?
Yeah, it was, you had 6 players. Most clubs in them days had at least 2 tables. I mean, there's only 1 table in here, and other clubs have only got like 1 table. And you just, you know, you'd have 2 sets of 3, and what would happen was, it wasn't like a number based. The away captain would pick a player, and then the home captain would put any player against him, and then vice versa when you were away.
No handicaps.
It will go alternate, no handicaps. No, I mean, the thing with that format was always good because they could put theoretically their worst player against your best to even things out. And it worked quite a lot.
Just like we do with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so again, you know, Carlisle we've talked about, we used to have 6 division of 10 teams, that's 60 teams. In the Port we used to have 45. Currently in the snooker we've got 20 teams in Carlisle. I've spoken to a mutual friend of mine and Rob's before we did this podcast, and Ellesmere Port's down to 1 division of 10 teams now.
Awful.
So they've gone down from 45 to 10. And I'd just like to invite now Peter Stanier to contribute to the discussion about the history of the leagues. Peter's played in the Chester League and in the Huddersfield League and in Manchester as well. Again, Peter, is it a similar story in those places?
Pretty much. I mean, I've fortunately with work I've travelled around, and whenever I've travelled somewhere I've always tried to find the leagues and play them wherever possible, so that A, if I'm away from home I could enjoy the matches. And I've played in like as far-flung leagues as the Oswestry League, heading up to the North Moors of Manchester, the Staley Bridge League, which is a very small league. But again, you hunt out these leagues, but the Manchester League, main league, is now folded. They used to have 6 divisions of 16 teams, and that league has actually folded. And we found that out this year. There is one more league in Manchester called the North Manchester League, which is going, but again, the last I checked, they had 2 divisions of 8 teams. Again, that used to have 4 divisions. So yeah, it's dropping, and yet I'm really surprised because snooker on the telly is bigger and better than it's ever been. And yet that doesn't seem to have equated, unlike the 80s where snooker sort of boomed out into the clubs.
I just think that there's that much to do these days, and kids grow up on the phone, and where you used to go out and play and do things. Now it's just, you live on that screen. People think they've got 50 million friends. They've never been at the house.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the main thing for me is that you've lost the clubs. A lot of the clubs have gone. You've lost the players, and you've lost the knowledge, particularly at billiards, that the old players would normally pass on, and they've gone. You know, I mean, I learned a lot from Norman Routledge in the Macclesfield League.
Yeah.
What a player! Absolutely amazing.
I'm learning my stuff from you.
Yeah, and he passed
passed
shots on to me, and obviously I passed them on to you. Now we're at the point now where that's beginning to fail, because you know, because I've come here and I'm like, they've got this fantastic billiards league, but not really got that many decent players. Yeah. And I've come here not particularly, you know, I won't be classed as a scraping into the team player in some of the leagues I've played in.
Yeah.
You know. And yet I come here and I'm like actually one of the better players, which seems crazy, but I've had that knowledge passed on to me, and obviously you guys haven't.
Do you not think like a lot of the old school though never ever had any intention of passing things on? Because I found that, like, you know, even learning a trade or anything, and it was like
they would show
they
you.
didn't want to show you because they didn't want you to beat them.
Yeah, they would show you what
I think it was a wrong mindset, which is ultimately
that's why my dad stopped playing me.
everybody. Because if you remember when we were talking on the billiard chat, and I said, when people were thanking you for what you showed them, Paul Watson for example, you know, but that was the game where he beat me, the first match of this season. I said, well played mate, worthy winner. I mean, he played really, really well. And,
Well, he's a good cueist, but didn't know the shots. Didn't
Yeah,
know
absolutely.
the half ball angle. So once someone's shown you that, well, you're the same.
Yeah.
You know, I remember watching you floundering around trying to
yeah,
learn to
struggling-
play billiards,
struggling
and then I
for the
watched you
half
this
ball
year.
thing,
I
yeah.
watched you this year, and I'm like, wow, this guy's dangerous.
Yeah, I'm getting better.
You know, it's billiards is knowledge, whereas snooker's more skill.
Maybe there's some people out there who are watching from other leagues, what have you, and have other ideas of how to expand leagues, snooker and billiards. By all means, drop a line. We're open to all sorts of ideas.
You see, I really hoped that many years ago I helped Martin Goodwill came to me and said, I'm writing this book. How the heck do I get a snooker player like you to play billiards? And we sort of went through and developed a bit of a routine, which is included in his first chapter of his book. And I feel so proud that I helped him with that. But I hope that would bring some momentum to the game, and that it would encourage people to play. I think it did to a degree, but again, how do you get people who are mainly snooker players to play billiards?
Yeah,
I
we've
think-
got that now in Carlisle. We're trying to encourage some younger players. Myself and Rob I've got a couple of younger lads in here, and the three of us are going to be coaching some lads in Harrowby shortly. But Rob said before about starting the Ellesmere Port League at 16, and in the Chester League when I started playing it was 13. A little bit different from in Chester though, because we did have to ask some clubs permission for me to go in, being underage, and there wasn't a problem. But obviously we started very young. I know he's watching, I know he's live, so you know, hello Titch. 13 years old, Titch Gray taught me how to play snooker. In Chester, the Snooker and Billiards League were completely separate, so I knew billiards existed and never ever took it up. And I'm 44 now, at the age of 40 years old, that Peter here showed me how to play billiards and taught me how to play billiards. Obviously Rob's learning now. So back to John, how did you learn the game of billiards? Where did you start off? At what age and who taught you, etc.?
Well, I didn't go into the Carlisle Working Men's Club till I was 18. My father took us on a Friday night because I wanted to play snooker like my dad. But he told me, well, you've got to come out on a Friday night and see the lads that play snooker and billiards, not just practicing, just messing about, just drinking basically. And so there was a guy there who took me under his wing called Jimmy Boyd. He started showing me how to get in-offs or losers as they call them. And I was hooked because I preferred the game to snooker. You see, I'd never seen the game in my life before. Then I started playing that more and more. So it was a case of I was going in 3 days a week before a Tuesday night game. And when I played my first ever billiard match, it was in the Working Men's Club, playing number 5 in a 6th division team, but I still won that first game, and what a feeling that was.
Yeah.
I was able to play that billiard season until January when the snooker season started, and I then was used to the environment. It's a totally different environment, a social club, between that and a pub when you're 18-year-old lad, playing with much older people with different life experiences. But I was hooked. I've been coming back ever since.
Well, my first frame of billiards was a bit of an eye-opener. Of course, you know, we've described him as the local legend, Bob Sewell, quite a few times. And when I moved up here 18 years ago, I didn't know the league existed for a couple of years. So 16 years ago I started playing, and my first game of billiards was away to Bob Sewell, and it absolutely destroyed me. It was an eye-opener to how to play properly. And I think, again, he's just a legend for what he's done, all the achievements, all the trophies that he's won. And yeah, it was a complete eye-opener. again, this is about the history of the Carlisle League, so we'll go back to Rob now. Again, I'll start with a little story. The Conservative Club was the former name of this place, and you know, John will probably remember as well as me, 2 teams in here, and they were always towards the bottom of the bottom division. And our team in the Portland Club, led by Martin Goodhead, was drawn away here in the Cup, and we'd won the Cup 2 years previously and came runner-up the year before, and really fancied our chances against the team that's bottom of the 2nd division. So we turn up, and I win my game by a lot of points. We'd given a handicap away, and there was this lad sat just there, that no one knew, no one had seen before ever. And Martin was our captain, 2nd best player, you know, number 2, and drawn on against this absolute newbie, and this absolute newbie absolutely annihilated Martin. I think it was about 120, 130 points, to the point that our teammate Dave Midgley at the time texted me in the middle of the game and said, I think this lad used to be a pro. And of course the lad we're talking about is Rob Woods. Absolutely. What an introduction into Carlisle Snooker. And of course that wasn't your first game, because it was like the 2nd round of the Cup or whatever. But again, that was your first season. Any other memories apart from absolutely destroying us the first time?
Well, to be honest, you went on first that night, and I was keen, and I'd seen like how well you played. It sounds like this is back scratching. It wasn't like just like I could see you switched, and I was like, and you won by that many. And I thought, look, I'm going to do the same. I can be terrible. I'm so inconsistent, but if I switch, I can play. You know that when we practice, it's just, well, I can be awful. And you actually helped me play that well that night. But it's other games, I don't know.
What was your first game like? Do you remember it at all?
Ever, my first.
First game in Carlisle? It must have been early that season.
No, really. We just joined. They were in the 2nd, but you could see they were good. But it was more like a willy-nilly. And I'm very serious, me. Like I would like straight away. No, but straight away, like you know, with Alan, Gar, Brian thinking, I'm in the face. What's that?
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people don't like that. But it definitely made us better, because it's easier to pop that ball and not have me in your face.
Yeah, well, you've taken...
And I'll always be that way. I like to win. I'm not a bad loser, but I like to.
Sorry, I thought you finished a few times there. Yeah, you've taken a team that perennially finished 2nd or 3rd bottom of the bottom division to 2 times 1st division champions in a row. So you know, you've done an amazing job in this club. You've stuck a team together with passion. You've stuck a team together with convincing people to come and play and to come and practice. I mean, the amount of practice our team gets is unreal. And I'll come back to Peter. Again, memories of the Carlisle League in the past. It was the British Open in 2021 where you turned up on crutches and going on one leg and chatting at the bar with, I think, Mally at the time. And Mally called us over and we started chatting. And you told us all about your history in billiards, of making ranking event quarterfinals and winning EBOS events, was it, that you've won in the past? And straight away we said, you're playing for my team. Straight away, you're playing for here, you're playing for my team. To the point that John called our captain Martin up and said, Mike's not your number 1 anymore. Peter's number 1, that's the end of it. So again, do you remember the first couple of matches in the Carlisle League and how it went, how we played?
Well, I do. It's difficult because the league format of 100 up is completely alien to what I'm used to playing. You know, I'm used to playing timed events, you know, half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. Doing a little short run up to 100 is difficult. I think the first person I played, full enough, was Martin Goodhead. And I can't remember, I had a couple of 30s against him and ran out and he'd only scored by 11. But yeah, it was a bit strange really, because it's such a short thing for me. But what I did notice as well is, you notice it when you've played in lots of different leagues, you notice how each league has its own method of playing. So, for example, the Huddersfield League, which Peter Marsden in our league is from, they all play red ball. They're always in off red, in off red, in off red. And then I played in the Macclesfield League, and in that league it was all top of the table. They all went potting at the top of the table. So every league has its sort of signature move, you know. And if you go over to the Teesside leagues, they'll do something completely different. So what I noticed with this league is you generally play all-round play with a preference for potting, which obviously comes from the snooker.
And Fuchs.
And you all hit the ball really, really hard in this league, which again, most of the leagues I would have played in, you hit gently, you stroke the ball. But again, whether that's a relic of the snooker, I don't know. But again, it's the opposite of many other leagues. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's just very different. But it's like a signature of the area, you know, and I'm really surprised how passionate people are about it, even those who can't play the game. Even though they're not very good, they're really passionate about it up here. It's almost like
A badge of honour.
well, it's almost like going back to the 1980s, where I think what it is there's not a lot to do in Carlisle, and the Tuesday night is a big social thing. It's more of a social thing. So people are very passionate about getting out on the Tuesday. There's more passion in this league than virtually every other league I've played in.
Yeah, I found that as well. There's a fair bit of apathy around the country where it's like, I'll come if I have to, and I'll play and I'll go and I'll play. And I've got to shoot off to this and that. And teams around here, they're out for a night out.
And I actually, occasionally I have to get back to Wigton or whatever, and I say, look lads, I'm going to play early and then go. And I feel quite guilty because you can all see people looking. You're going home. You're not staying till the end.
You're never going to Chester or
no, and here, because of that passion, it's slightly different, you know, and it is actually refreshing.
Yeah, the lads in my team turn up at 6 o'clock for a 7:30 start and don't leave till after 11 o'clock. When they're being kicked out.
We're similar here. We've got a couple of people that turn up late for work reasons, but then 3 or 4 of us are here at 6, half 6, and then, you know, I have to leave at 11 for babysitting, but it's quite often Rob and Steve and Rob Barber will be here until kicked out or fully unconscious, and it's lovely to see that passion everywhere.
I've got a question for John, because you're old.
Thank you.
I was reading a book about Carlisle, because obviously I know very little about Carlisle until I moved up here. I read something about the pubs and licensing being highly regulated. Was it after the First World War or the Second World War?
It was after the First World War.
And yet this league was started around that time, you know, shortly after the First World War. If the pubs and everything were regulated, was that why you developed the network of social clubs?
Yeah, because if there's pub games going on, you're not drinking while you're playing.
Right.
Whether it's dominoes, whether it's darts or what have you, you're not drinking. I do know that it's called state management, and it was brought in because of what happened in Gretna when the munitions, when the Devil's Porridge, the girls that worked there, when it was shut down after the First World War, and the men came back from the front, they drank like fish, and they liked to fight.
Right.
And so in the Carlisle and southwest Scotland area, whenever there was a pub, there was always trouble. So that the government brought in state control. It was supposedly week of beer, and it was rationed. Not like the Second World War rationing. It was you were only allowed certain amount of drink, and they started putting billiard tables in and dartboards and other pub games to slow people down from just drinking.
Because there does seem to be a lot more clubs dotted around, and obviously some closed, but there does seem to be this more club mentality here rather than big snooker places.
because social clubs, because of the areas in Carlisle, every out on the outskirts where people started to move, they needed somewhere to drink locally rather than travelling into the city centre. So every area, whether it was Harrowby, Upperby, Denton Home,
Southend.
yeah, they all had their
develop
own.
their own little club network. Yeah.
So we're going to finish off with each of us just going over a memorable match from the Carlisle League. I'm going to start off and I'll pass it around the room. Again, I'd just like to mention another person that's got to go down as a bit of a local legend, which is Chris Bray. That's how I started in this league. I was coming back from Chester and jumped in his taxi and we started talking, and I didn't know there was a snooker league around here until talking to Chris, and he said, come on Tuesday, come and play for my team. So I went home to Nikki on the Sunday night and said, you know, can I go and play in the league on a Tuesday? And she said yes. So I went on like Google Maps or something, found where the Buffs Club was, turned up on the Tuesday, and I basically refused to play the first 2 weeks. I didn't want to take someone's place in the team. But the first game, just because it was a new team and new people, I was very nervous. I don't often feel nervous at snooker, so that's why it's an interesting story for me. I got a couple of 16 breaks and I won because it was a third division game basically. If it was a first division game, I'd have been in major trouble. I always remember there was a guy, John will remember him better than me probably, so he finished playing at the end of the season. There was a guy that was an Elvis impersonator and he always went around as Elvis. I think his name was Steve. And I always remember I won the first ever game. I said just a couple of 16 breaks and a load of 1s and 3s, etc. And he came to us at the end and said, Nick, you looked really, really, really nervous. It's just a case of moving to a new place, playing for a new team. And it's one of my big memories of playing in Carlisle. Do you know what about the
I'm trying to think.
guy? Sure, it was Steve. Could be wrong.
So I'm sure somebody will chirp in and say
Yeah.
what it was.
He always went around with the haircut and the collar and everything, even though he wasn't
Sounds a bit like my dad.
performing as a as an impersonator. So yeah, that's my story about, you know, the history of Carlisle and playing here. I've kind of already said to Rob about the first ever game. What about your most memorable game, Rob?
Most memorable?
Your frame, not
Well,
team.
that would have been the other week, wouldn't it? We
Yeah.
didn't need to tell anybody about that, do we? No, it's hard's difficult, really. I don't know. They're all so good.
All good.
Hopefully, be happening shortly in the billiards.
Hopefully, yeah, we've been brilliantly making all the time and loving our practice. And Peter, memorable games that you've played in Carlisle?
Well, not the league matches, but when I used to go in Q Zone, I started playing with Dave Midgley, and he's a bit of an enigma to me really, because his in-off game is superb. And I met him and we started practicing a bit, and obviously he's got a bit of a bad back, so we've sort of tailed that off lately. But he'd never had a 50 break, and I could not believe that this guy with such good potting, good in-offs, had never had a 50 break. And then we started playing, and I sort of spent a little bit of time just going over a few shots with him. And then the week later he has a 53, I think. And I can't remember, I don't think I was actually counting out loud at the time. And then I remember him getting to 49 and I said, oh, it's 52. I was like, he got to 49, I said, Dave, you really need this red. It was a pot red. And I said, concentrate on it, you need this red. And he got it, and then missed it in off. But that was really memorable for me because, you know, it's somebody who deserved a 50 break.
Oh,
he put a lot of work in.
he done it. I marked his game last week against Pallon, and he struggled for 35 minutes, and then he went 50 or 40 off.
Yeah, well, he's improving.
Like that.
He's improving all the time. See,
He done it in here. There was a couple of guys one day, and they were they play on a Wednesday afternoon. Some of the old boys, and they always have like a few games of doubles and that all afternoon. As soon as they walked in, he went from rubbish to bang, and he just hit 50 odd down.
Well, like you see, he's
Stole it right there.
he studies it, you know. He watches the videos. He's
Yeah,
been watching
yeah.
Gary Rogers' videos from York. I don't think Gary's watching, but hello, Gary. One of my favourite.
Getting the
Red
handicap
Power player.
until watching.
And Dave's been watching his videos lately, and you can see it in his game. You see, he's playing Gary's shots in his own game. There's another one though. It's too hard.
Yeah, Gary's
Yeah,
videos are awesome.
say that to him, yeah.
Yeah, if you are watching or watching recording, Gary, videos are awesome. Put out another video, was it yesterday or today? Another brilliant one.
Identifying the hard ball angle.
I don't put the hard ball angle. Yeah, another one well worth watching for anyone in the league. Well worth watching.
Come on, I've been looking at it yet, but it's come up well.
Yeah. I remember when you were teaching me about the hard ball angle, Pete, back in the day. We went up on a Thursday, and I'd be coaching a couple of lads on how to play snooker, and then you coach me how to play billiards. And your thing was along the ball climb, wasn't it? You were. You got the brown out to start with. It wasn't even billiard balls. You got the brown out.
Yeah.
Like, if you move the brown here and hit it there, that's the hard ball angle.
That's
like, take a photo of that angle.
Yeah.
And that's what you're playing every.
that's where your brain tells you, and that
Yeah.
again, that's in Martin Goodwill's book. That's what we came up with to sort of train people what that angle is.
Yeah.
And again, I show everybody that who's never played before.
Yeah. It's
They can
fine.
identify half ball because the ball's on the line, the edge of it, and the other ball is half on it, so it's a half ball. And then the angle is just this side of the brown. So, and people go, God, I can't believe it.
See, that was the first thing you did with me, and the second thing was like pop 10 reds off the blue spot from hand, and then going off the blue,
That was off the pink spot.
Off the pink spot, yeah.
Pink spots.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly difficult pot. People look at it and go, oh, it's an easy pot, this. I'll get 7 out of 10. Top players only get 4, because when do you ever come to the table needing to pot a ball off the pink spot? It's a really
I was
difficult
going to go for a pop there last night against John actually, down there, and then I looked where that was up. I said, nah. And I changed to the can. I'd made my mind up on the pot, and I got the can.
You're telling me this
So
now?
it was like,
telling me this
no, it was right near the end. I was thinking, I just changed my mind to the can.
I'll just finish off with a snooker story. Now, I'm not going to name the person because I want to embarrass him. It's about 20 years ago, and it just shows out the passion that's in when you're playing the game. This player's still playing today, and he's a far better player than I am. And I was able to beat him on the black by fluking the black. I shook his hand. I turned away to put the cue in my case that was behind the chair, and all of a sudden I heard this big smash and crash, and splinters of wood flying over the top of my head. Because I fluked a black, it was so disappointing for that person who's still. I won't. People can guess who it is, but I'm not going to say. And he smashed his cue, said, "I'm never playing again." The next week he was playing again with another cue. Passion does funny things on a snooker and a billiard table.
We had a similar frame a few years ago, if you remember, Rob, in the Portman Club at the time, where we both played terribly, but I potted the final pink and we shook hands and we put cues away, and then the white floated into winning off. We played the pink and black.
I think remember that shot I played against you when I screwed it back from here and I screwed between the back and it landed on 2 reds when you thought. That's probably the best.
That's probably the best snooker shot I've ever seen. And I don't mean
like proper
I don't mean by an amateur or anything, because again a pro would do
I
that on a
like
slick table and
And as soon as I touch it, that's going to land it just comes right between and
So anyway, if there's anybody in the local area who wants to take up snooker or billiards, don't hesitate and get in touch. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. Come and talk to us. We're more than happy to either find you a team or create another team. Because our billiard season doesn't start until August, so there's still plenty of time.
Or if you just want to take up the sport, we'll coach it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't want to play on a team.
As we mentioned before, we're starting coaching some young lads now, all of us. So yeah, get in touch. We we put a team together from loose players last year in Upper B. We can do it again quite easily. So yeah.
Well, this new team in Harrowby, the average age is it 12, 11? They're all young lads. Mid-20s.
Yeah, mid-20s, yeah. Yeah. And a good bunch as well. Looking forward to introducing them to billiards with you two there as well.
Yeah.
Helping them to transition from what I've heard is good potters. I've never played against any of them, but I've heard they're all good potters, so looking forward to teaching them all the other shots you can play.
Yeah, letting them get your balls out.
No, I won't be taking them stick.
On that note,
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us for the first podcast. There will be more in the future. Obviously this one is about the history of Carlisle. There'll be some more. We've got some plans with some other people that just want to see the first couple of podcasts and then they'll come on. We've got some very interesting stories to tell if we can get those people on screen about the history. We're going to do some stuff about like modern Carlisle, how this season's going, some podcasts on this season as it goes. And yeah, watch this space. Yeah. Haven't got anything to add before we wrap it up?
thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent.